I hope you all heard me. And the minutes will reflect what I said. It's not quite there. That's right, and then it'll go solid. All right. So, as I said, now we have the meeting. So, to the right page here. Call to order. Now we will have roll call next. I see 4 trustees here, and Bill Falaise is absent, and I see both student representatives here. Roll call. So now we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next, 7.1 is the approval of the meeting agenda. Thank you, Sanjay. Is there a second? Second from Debbie. No comments? Then we will say, Riley, what say you?
I approve.
Ava? Board, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's a 4-0 vote on that. Okay, the report out from action taken in closed section. The public employee appointment, there was no actual action that happened in this particular closed session. However, we would like to reintroduce people that were we took action on at the previous meeting, special meeting that we had last week. So Dr. Meyer, would you like to introduce our new people?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. Good evening. Last Monday, we had a special board meeting where we appointed our 2 new principals to the school district. And so tonight, I would like to introduce them and give them an opportunity to say hello at the podium and share with all of you as the community some information about them. So we have 2. So I will start with for the position of Mountain View High School principal. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Kip Glazer, and a little bit about Kip. And this will soon change because my first bullet says she's the current principal of San Marcos High School in Santa Barbara Unified, where she successfully served. And we are very fortunate to have her starting with us on July 1st. She previously has served as an assistant principal, dean of students, instructional technology coach and teacher. She has served as an educational leader and manager since 2016 and began her career in education in 2002. She has been honored numerous times throughout her career and was voted Teacher of the Year prior to becoming an administrator. She graduated cum laude with her BA in political science from Cal Poly University, and her educational leadership is in learning technologies from Pepperdine University. She also received her credential and master's degree in curriculum and instruction from Chapman University. She is credentialed in foundational math, as well as holding a single subject authorization in English, social studies, and health education. She is a published author and has also presented at numerous educational conferences throughout her career. She is an expert in how to effectively integrate technology into the curriculum. She speaks Korean fluently and has been learning Spanish. She is also well-versed in coding and gaming. An English language learner herself, she is enthusiastic about finding innovative ways to serve all students and has brought her current high school a very creative and strategic bell schedule that incorporates built-in opportunities for strategic support and enrichment. She was recognized for her work at San Marcos High and has effectively brought the school together after it had experienced some hardships prior to her arrival. And we look forward to welcoming her to the MVLA family and are so very grateful that you're here with us today. So congratulations and welcome, Kip.
Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, board members, board president, and Dr. Meyer, and of course, the cabinet. I am so thrilled to be here, and I want to thank you for this opportunity. As a public educator, I believe that ensuring access to all our students is one of the most important job of mine. And I say that because as a mother, I wanted to teach both my boys how to swim. And I used to take both my boys to Y to try to teach them how to swim. My older one, he loved swimming right away. My younger one did not like it at all. After a month of trying, I just finally gave up. I said, okay, he's not gonna swim, and I will just have to learn to live with the disappointment. Until we moved to a house, we had a backyard pool, and it took him 3 days to become a swimmer. That experience, the personal experience, taught me that ensuring access to every single one of our students makes a huge difference. So I promise you that I'll do my very best to make sure that every single student who sets foot on Mountain View High School has such opportunity. Whatever they want to do, I will be there and be the biggest champion for them. So thank you so much. And I look forward to meeting all of my families and students. Thank you.
Thank you, Kip.
I speak for the whole board to say that we are thrilled to have you.
And we do know you also you brought someone with you, and you can introduce him from the chair if you'd like. Welcome, both of you. Thank you. All right. So one of the wonderful things about being a family is when you can see someone within your family grow and take on a new challenge and try something new. And not only trying something new, but you know they're going to do a great job doing so. So tonight, I would also like to welcome and introduce, as they say, the person who needs no introduction, but certainly introduce Suzanne Woolfolk. And Suzanne has been an educational leader since 2007, with experience as an assistant principal in MVLA since 2014, and in San Mateo and Burlingame prior. Suzanne taught Spanish and ELD when she started her career in education in 2003. She is a graduate of Stanford with BAs in Spanish, Portuguese, and developmental psychology. She received her English and Spanish credentials and master's through Stanford, and her second master's in educational leadership from California State University, San Francisco. Suzanne, especially with that Portuguese and is bilingual and a known champion for all students. As an assistant principal, Suzanne has maintained teaching at ASB at Los Altos, as she wants to ensure she remained connected to students and the daily educational experience. Suzanne, of note, really was responsible for district-wide progress during the pandemic to bring activities to students in creative and thoughtful ways, and safe ways as well. Suzanne has also been committed to developing as a professional and completed her AXA's Personnel Administrators Academy through AXA, and will now be taking on the role of Director Alternative Programs, Middle College, Freestyle, who is in the house tonight, as well as Principal of Alta Vista Continuation High School, where her background in ELD and helping develop students who are redesignated fluent English learners will be especially important. And so with that, congratulations, Suzanne. Wonderful to have you in this new role.
I am
so thrilled and so honored. I think one of the things I thought about through I know the board and cabinet and interview panels at each level considered very carefully who might be and what qualities might be the right match for places so special as all alternative education programs. And it was over the process of weeks. And throughout, something I kept thinking about, well, I love where I've grown and how I've become part of Los Altos family and the district family. I kept thinking about wherever the district finds that I could be of greatest service to our students and our families and our staff, that's where I want to be. I think it's wonderful when we can love what we do. And I certainly have loved working with WIN, and I've loved working with Los Altos High School and will continue to do so. But I am so honored that you all found in me a match for continuing on with the many strengths that our programs have at Freestyle and Middle College and College Now, and of course, Alta Vista High School, but being able to grow with and look over the long term in the way that we can continue to connect our families and give opportunity to our students now in high school as well as beyond once they graduate. I'm just, if you know me, I love activities and I get excited about things. And I am so excited about being able to be a very special type of principal, a type of principal that can connect with students still on an individual level on a daily basis and continue to build and grow connections with staff and families. That is just so exceptional to me. And again, I'm so honored. Thank you so much. I brought with me the slightly fidgety people to the back. My husband is hosting a conference outside of the area, but I have brought the cuter ones. But also, I just wanted to point out, I have my mom here. If you couldn't recognize, she kind of looks just like me, Patty Rabbitich. And she actually is sort of retired because, as you can see, she's also a co-parent here in our special situation, but taught drama, English, speech for over 40 years in middle school and is with us tonight. And then I have my children. We have Roman, my oldest. He will be in high school in a few years. And then we have Cash, right there, say hi, Cash. And then we have Gigi. She's the boss of the household. Just turned 5.
Very nice.
Welcome.
We're so happy to have you also in your new role. We're excited to see what both of our new employees at that principal and director level take on and innovate in their new roles. So, is there anybody else? Okay, so those are the people from last meeting that we wanted to reintroduce when we had a nice crowd and they could all be present in person and bring their families and so on. So that's great. So now we will do 9.1 recognition, MVLA spotlight of David Bell and Kim Sheenhan, volunteer administrators of the MVLA E-list. Dr. Meyer, would you like to make some comments?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. The spotlight is something that we do on behalf of the board and my superintendent's office to recognize a community member or members who have contributed greatly to the success of our students and the strength of our community. So with that, I do have to say, when I first came here, I think the very first name I heard out of everyone, and my apologies to the board, was David Bell. And so certainly those E-lists are something that contributed to so many of our community staying informed, being aware of different sports teams and music teams, etc. So just to share a little bit, David Bell is the creator of the E-list email systems that we have at the comprehensive high schools. And he has been the administrator of the Mountain View High School E-List for over 22 years. Started as a parent, if I'm correct, and he helps manage 97 separate email lists. So think of all the clubs, think of all the sports. He's there behind the scenes, and tonight we get to honor him for his creation. I also want to recognize Kim Sheehan, who is the volunteer administrator of the Los Altos School E-List for nearly 14 years, also commendable and exciting. And she manages 63 separate email lists. So as you can imagine, they're very nuanced and targeted and unique and very, very helpful. So with that, I just want to honor and note that managing these lists has been something that has made such a difference for our families through emergencies that we've had in the last few years, but also through the fun times so they can participate in all of the events. And we wanted to honor both of you this evening for your contribution and really thank you for all of the volunteer hours that you have given us so graciously. So I would like to honor David and Kim.
Would you like to share a few?
I'm used to a 50-minute hour. I've practiced my speech several times. I've got down to about 20.
Oh, okay.
Really, I really have only a couple things to say that I really feel important to say, which is that it's not about me. I'm absolutely thrilled that you honored me. But imagine a school that says a parent that we've never met running a feature for the school that we then depend on, from a server that we don't even know where it is, and we don't even know where this guy lives, and we don't even know this guy, sure, we'll try it. Right? That's huge. Most schools are so tight-fisted, they're like, just hang up on you in 20 seconds, let's talk about that. This district didn't do that. That's incredible, and I really want to honor that about the district and encourage you to keep doing it, because that's what makes the difference. And it's just right your shoulders and over on. So thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
It has been incredible playing the Los Altos side of things. And we've got it down. We're both probably two of the laziest people you'll ever meet. Because what we do is every time we have a job to do, we figure out how we can automate it and turn it into 10 seconds of work instead of 15 minutes worth of work. So over the years, we just got lazier and lazier. So it's awesome. So thank you. Thank you, really.
Thank you both.
I've been on E-List since 2003. So I think you might have started it in what,
2001,
something like that.
Yeah.
And every year I look forward to checking another box or whatever it is. So I really do appreciate it. It's been a wealth of information, keeping times and meetings or whatever that's occurring in different PTSAs. It's been very beneficial. And every year I go into the district and I say, you better be nice to them. we really need them to keep that E-List going. And truly I've been an advocate because I've really appreciated all the work and time that you put in as a volunteer with no kids in the school to continue to keep this communication open for the community. And
well, two more comments about that. The reason I started this is because my kid came home with a first quarter progress report that said student failing in danger of failing, not turning in homework assignments. That was the genesis.
well, I benefited from that too, by the way. So thank you.
Because the only reason I'm quitting is because I retired last year. I was moved to Portugal.
Ooh, fun,
Wow.
fun.
Yeah, she speaks Portuguese.
Is anything another board member would like to add? Or Kim, did you have some more things to say too?
I'm just grateful to put a face to the name for both of you, but particularly for David, having come through the Mountain View side. They have swapped emails with you a number of years ago as board or as PTSA president, but there were all these you were just the mystery man. Does he live in Arizona? Does he live? Where does he live? I don't know. It's just like this mystery man behind the scenes. So thank you very, very much.
And I want to say about the server, If you let somebody put a computer in your closet and give them root access, if anybody's into software, they know what that means, to, the keys to the world, the machine, and, have IT support to actually help them get their system going, then, it's been a valuable service. Thank you so much.
Well, one thing about, on the Altos side, just as David came, Gwen and I get together often, and she provides me with all of the data that I need to keep every class with. And so, again, it just shows what a great partnership that's been.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have recognition of the Student of the Month from. Is that Freestyle Academy?
Freestyle Academy.
Yes, Freestyle Academy. So who's here to present that award? There we are.
We have Leo Florendo.
Leo, are you going to present the award?
And I believe it's also Student of the Year. Is that correct? Oh, even better.
Oh, not just the month of the year. Okay.
So Carly, come on up here. So if you were going to start a design company to build stuff or digital stuff for people, you should hire her. Part of what we do in Freestyle is we want our students to be unstoppable, be able to do anything. Film, animations, websites, audio productions, print productions. She can do it. She's unstoppable. She really is. So that's why we chose her as Freestyle Student of the Year. It's really Freestyle Student of the past 2 years because she's been with us for the past 2 years. It's kind of sad to see her go. If I were going to start a company, she would be on the top of the list. I would hire.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, you should know that we choose this Student of the Year as a staff. And sometimes we deliberate about that. And sometimes we have a lot of students that we really like to highlight. Sometimes it's a difficult decision because we have a lot of really talented and wonderful students. This year, it was an immediate and unanimous decision. No brainer.
No brainer.
Absolute no brainer. Carly has been absolutely phenomenal as a student over the last 2 years, facing some challenges that I think you're all aware of. And being a real example to the rest of her classmates. She works hard, she participates, she collaborates, she helps students who don't have as much support and need maybe a little bit of extra help. And she's been the first one to volunteer to help those people out. She's the first to ride to class, she's the last to leave. I had to kick her out after a couple of hours. She's the only student to date that has given me a senior rough cut, which is a really big deal. I'm really excited about that because exhibition's next week. But more than anything, she brings to class with her every day a real sense of positivity, which in the last couple of years has been really meaningful to all of our students, and particularly to me. I really appreciate the warmth and the light that you bring into the classroom every day and the example that you set for all of us. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Carly, would you like to say a couple words, and then maybe the board has a couple questions for you?
Sure. I'm really grateful for Freestyle. I was thinking especially a lot about like how to formulate Freestyle when I was writing my college application. So it's kind of like a really unique opportunity that I didn't really know how to formulate, but what it came down to is like Freestyle really allows me to like look forward to school and to enjoy what I'm doing, and it feels like the things we do matter, which I really appreciate. And it gives us kind of like what Mr. Flo was saying, it allows us to be unstoppable. I've had like job opportunities and a lot of good things come out of it, especially like just being able to know how to do something if you want to do it and help other people out. It's really awesome. So I love Freestyle.
Any questions?
Sure. Welcome congratulations.
Thank you.
Sounds like very well deserved. It sounds like, I heard the comments about you're the one to hire. So, but this is Silicon Valley, so maybe you should start your own company and do your own hiring. But if you had to go to a company, what would be your ideal job?
Ooh, that's a really hard one. I'm still going into college undeclared. I'm not actually really sure what I'm wanting to do right now, but something I do. My friend just told me about her major called I forgot what it's called, but it was like experiences planning. So it's kind of like party planning, but more of like experiences that are more like meaningful and like the science behind making meaningful memories. And I think that sounded really cool to me. So something like that could be fun.
Okay. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
All the areas that you studied at Freestyle, whether it's film or animation, do you have one that you particularly like? And can you tell us about one project that you did that you were that you're really excited about that you have done in the last 2 years?
Yeah, so I am in film class. So Mr. Taylor was mentioning my senior narrative, which is probably the biggest project I've ever worked on and will ever work on. But it was really fun, and I'm still trying to refine it for exhibition. But it was like this huge collaborative process, and we took it from just this pitch of the idea all the way up until getting, not hiring because we're not paying them, but recruiting actors and filming and editing, and now eventually making it the real thing. And I think that's definitely been the most rewarding project I've done so far.
Okay, thank you. And just so everybody knows, it's at Computer History Museum on the 20th from 5 to 8:30. Is that right?
Yep.
Next Friday, Friday. Yeah, good. Thank you. It's always exciting to go to that and see all the different venues and areas of interest. It is.
Any other questions? Just congratulations.
Thank you.
Quite a few of us have engineering and technology backgrounds, including in software and so on. And we're just so impressed that you're all overtaking us quite quickly. you young generation. So we have a certificate for you, and we'd like to have some pictures. Do you have some family or any that's there?
Section right
Okay. Would they like to give the picture? Okay. Okay. All right, sure.
Is there not a one just to use it?
Yeah, well, we discussed that.
Why don't you guys just go, share more with
Okay.
your family, so that's what I'm familiar with that.
All right.
Right, Carly, this is what by
The logo and your teachers on this side.
Great. All right.
And I was just told that Carly's going to BYU. Sounds fun. So,
See you guys at the exhibition.
yes, thank you. Thrilling. There's so many fun things to do this year. It's always so thrilling to hear our students being so fantastic in their accomplishments. All right, now we have a series of resolutions that Dr. Meyer will lead us through. The first one being recognition of teacher appreciation. Yes,
This month, we have 4 resolutions, and usually we have about 1, but these are all extremely important, so please bear with me, but they're all about wonderful, wonderful groups or important movements. So first of all, we are recognizing our Teachers of the Year. So this is a resolution to support our teachers. So briefly, California Ed Code, section 37222, sets aside the second Wednesday in May as the Day of the Teacher and encourages exercises directing attention to teachers and the teaching profession. Whereas the Mountain View Los Altos High School District Board of Trustees has the utmost respect and admiration for the teachers who have dedicated their lives and their talents to the education of its children. And whereas the Board of Trustees acknowledges and endorses this year's theme for the Day of the Teacher celebration, which is California Educators at the heart of communities powering our future. And whereas the Board of Trustees recognizes the truly vital role of teachers in realizing its vision for our students. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mountain View Los Altos Board of Trustees extends its sincere appreciation to the teaching staff of our district for their contributions and recognizing that they are who make our schools successful. And we will join the State Board of Education and all citizens in recognizing May 11th, 2022. So
Thank you,
we
Dr.
recommend approval.
And if there's no objection from the board, could we vote for all 4 of the resolutions at once? Okay, would anyone like to make a comment about this one before we have the next one announced? No? Okay. Dr. Meyer?
Okay, yes, and in the same month, we recognize our classified employees who bring so much to the work that they do and really provide the backbone of our schools. So the resolution is as follows. Whereas classified school employees provide valuable services to the schools and students of the Mountain View Los Altos High School District, and classified school employees contribute to the establishment and promotion of a positive instructional environment, and classified school employees serve a vital role in providing for the welfare and safety of MVLA high school district students. And the Board of Trustees acknowledges and endorses this year's theme for Classified School Employees Week, which is, we are classified, we bring it every day. And whereas classified school employees employed by MVLA high school districts strive for excellence in all areas relative to the educational community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mountain View Los Altos School District hereby recognizes and wishes to honor the contribution of the classified school employees to quality education in the state of California and in the Mountain View Los Altos High School District, and declares the week of May 15th to the 21st as Classified School Employee Week in the MVLA High School District.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer. Is there any comments from the board on this one? Okay. As I said, we'll wait and vote at the end. All right, Dr. Meyer, the next one.
Yes. This is for our AAPI community, and this was a resolution that was brought forward in the last 2 years here to MVLA. Whereas in 1990, Congress voted to expand Asian Pacific Heritage from a week to a month-long celebration. And in May 1992, the month of May was permanently designated as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month. And whereas studies have found that the academic needs of Asian American and Pacific Islander students are frequently overlooked, and whereas understanding Asian and Pacific Islander history is an important part of celebrating Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, whereas we acknowledge these Americans for their contributions to government, industry, and commerce, agriculture, science, literature, and the arts. And whereas California is one of the states with the largest Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders population, and whereas we acknowledge the historical and cultural contributions of Asian Pacific Americans in the development of the state of California, and whereas The diversity of these groups include Asian Indian, Bengali, Burmese, Cambodian, Chinese, Filipino, Guamanian, Hawaiian, Hmong, Indonesian, Japanese, Korean, Lao, Malayan, Okinawan, Pakistani, Samoan, Thai, Vietnamese, and others. And now therefore be it resolved by the trustees of the Mountain View Los Altos High School District that May 2022 is designated as Asian Americans and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and encourages all schools to commemorate this occasion with appropriate instructional activities to recognize the countless contributions that Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have made in helping our nation.
Thank you. Is there any comments on this one?
Just want to thank the board for bringing that forward in the last few years.
And last but not least, we have one on National Mental Health Month.
Yes, thank you. Mental health awareness. May 2022 has been designated National Mental Health Awareness Month, whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being, and whereas a focus on prevention, early assessment, and intervention efforts could greatly reduce the number of children experiencing serious mental health conditions, and whereas children, youth, and adults can recover from mental illness and lead full productive lives in the community, and whereas Mountain View Los Altos High School District acknowledges that addressing the mental health needs of our students contributes to social, emotional, and academic development. Whereas the Mountain View Los Altos High School District reviews its pledge to continue to assess and improve the range of educational services excuse me, provided to meet the varying needs of our students with mental health concerns. And whereas the Mountain View Los Altos High School District recognizes that educating our students with mental health concerns requires a commitment to meaningful collaboration with families and community members. And now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Mountain View Los Altos High School District recommits our educational community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, especially youth with mental health conditions, and approves the designation of May 1st through 31st, 2022 as National Mental Health Month.
Thank you, Dr. Meyer. Is there any comments on that one? I actually have one on that one, and that is when I ran for office almost 4 years ago, one of my main platform issues was that the mental health of students had degraded over the previous 10 years or so in my observation. And then of course, in the interims, in the last, since 2020, we've had the pandemic, and that has put it over the top in terms of the issues that students face in terms of mental health and the need for services to address that. So, and all of these resolutions are important. As Dr. Meyer said, you can't teach without teachers, can't run an office without the class, and keep things safe without the classified. And of course, we want to recognize a large proportion of our population, the Asian American Pacific Islanders. So I would entertain a motion to approve these resolutions.
I move that we approve the 4 resolutions with numbers 21/22, 41, 42, 43, and 44.
Second.
And Sanjay seconds. Fiona moves and Sanjay seconds. Any other comment? No? All right. Riley, what say you?
I approve.
Ava? Board, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is a 4-0 vote plus the student reps. Okay. We will move on now to 10.1, which is board member reports. Does any board member have anything in particular they would like to report?
No, just to say that I was in attendance at the WASC welcoming on Monday, May 2nd, and I think that it went well, and I was wondering if maybe part of your superintendent report was part of that, but the 3 WASP members that came to assess Alta Vista, I think that they were well received, and the event in the morning was a really nice event for welcoming them.
Any other comments? Okay, moving on to student board member reports. How about Ava go first this time?
So right now, it's the second week of AP testing at Mountain View. So we have a lot of our juniors and seniors and sophomores doing that. And from personal experience and from what I've heard, it's been running very smoothly. All the proctors have been really great. And I know it can be, you know, there's a lot of technical things with so many students and stuff, but it's been going very smoothly. A couple of things in ASB, we're planning our end of the year rally and Spirit Week, which will be next week. We also have prom this weekend for Mountain View juniors and seniors. So a lot of us are looking forward to that. And that will be at a DoubleTree Hotel in San Jose. ASB is also holding our annual banquet next week for our incoming, outgoing, and current ASB members. So we're all looking forward to that as well. And our academic peers program is rounding off the year with 75 awards for various students at Mountain View who have been honored for their contribution to their classroom environment by their teachers. And so they'll get an academic peer award. We also have a Drama Llamas club at Mountain View, and they have a musical actually tomorrow night in the MVHS theater at 7 p.m. So they're encouraging a lot to come to that. Our swim team also went to CCS this weekend, and they did really well. So congrats to them. And we also had our dance spectrum show last Thursday and Friday. I went to that. It was amazing. It was super, super cool. So they put so much hard work into that, and it was really beautiful. And then Riley and I are working on doing an end of the year feedback survey that we hope to give to the students in the upcoming weeks, and then give you that information for the end of the year.
Thank you. Questions for Ava?
Just thank you for doing that. Thank you very much. Good idea.
Okay. Riley?
Okay. To second what Ava said, the last 2 weeks mostly consisted of AP testing, and that's also going on this week. There are a lot of senior events coming up, which is super exciting. May is jam-packed. There are only 4 weeks left of school for seniors, and our prom is on the 21st. We have athlete signing day this Friday, and there's an unofficial commitment day last Monday where all the seniors wore gear for the colleges they're attending next year, which was super exciting to see, and a lot of seniors were super excited about that. At the last board meeting, that was the day of our Diversity Week rally. So that week finished out, and it was a super fun week, and it was super cool to see students proud of where they came from, proud of their diversity, and it really helped bring our student body closer together. Our Broken Box acting company had their final show a week and a half ago, and there was a tribute to Nancy Moran, who is retiring, and she was the Broken Box teacher for many years. Next Tuesday is our end of the year concert. And our spring dance show is on May 12th and Friday, May 13th at 7 p.m. in the Eagle Theater. ASB is hosting our big dodgeball tournament, and we have over 50 teams signed up with 6 students on each team. So there's a lot of students that are looking forward to playing dodgeball. And so that's going to be super fun. In regards to sports, like Ava said, our swim team had CCS this past weekend. Our boys track team won the league meet we had on Friday. They're undefeated this year, and there are 24 track athletes that are heading down to Gilroy this weekend for CCS. Gymnastics has their senior night this Wednesday.
Thank you, Riley. Questions for Riley? Thank you both. Your schools are still hopping all the way till the very end.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Dr. Meyer, would you like to present the superintendent report?
I would, and thank you both for your reports. It's wonderful to hear how everyone is succeeding in the playoffs. All right. So speaking of, here you can see Mountain View High swim, and they are moving forward as we discussed. And I've said this before, but I'm just so happy that we're back to some of our annual traditions and being able to be together. It seems like it was a long time ago when we couldn't in a short time at the same time. Wanted to share this great shot that was taken there at Mountain View High as we focus on our goals of academic excellence, continuing the conversations about equity. We've had our equity training and are continuing to have that throughout the year, and continuing to have every student engaged within the classroom. All right, so as mentioned in the resolution, wanted to show a picture here of Matt Chafee and Jasmine Mark, and photo creds go to Tomo there. And I think he really captured what teachers do. They do a lot of listening. And so this is a great time to thank our teachers and our counselors and everyone for all of the work that you do. They have been well fed on all of our campuses. I want to thank our PTSA and all of our ASB friends as well. And it's well deserved. Also wanted to just mention that we have something with our classified employees that will happen in the next coming weeks, and they are going to shadow other employees that are non-classified. So if anyone here on the board, or if there are other folks who would like to volunteer to walk a mile in their shoes for a couple of hours, we will be supervising campus, working in the cafeteria and other things, but it will be a great opportunity. Only 10 districts were selected in the state of California for this event, and so it'll be fun, and we look forward to that partnership. Principals and assistant principals certainly had their day on May 1st, and have sometimes don't get the same recognition, but certainly well deserved. So our strong teams on all 4 of our campuses are so much appreciated, and we'll continue to talk about them in the meetings to come. Wanted to say that we do track how many people read our newsletters, and so we had 9,000 viewers, and so with 4,400 students, some of you, maybe it's me, are reading it more than once, but we really do appreciate the readership, and it's a great way for us to shoot out information to you, and it's international. You can see that people from all over the world are checking in, so some alum are reading it as well. Another noteworthy positive thing that has happened, I'd like to just recognize Jody Wang, Mountain View Los Altos High. She has been certified as a PBS Media Literacy Educator. And so a handful of people were selected by KQED, and in an ongoing way, they promote media literacy. And so we look forward to looking at how we will continue to not only spotlight this award, but really let Jody teach us some of the information that got her to this point. And speaking of awards, this week, the Santa Clara School Board Association, they recognize through the Hoffman Awards, Sydney Fung, and she is the president of the ambassadors at Mountain View High School. And so she will be recognized for the work the ambassadors have done around mental health support for students, making students feel welcome, and creating a positive culture. So just, kudos to Lauren Camarillo, her teacher, and Sydney for her student leadership. And just to mention some things through our equity practices and some of the work that we've been doing in an ongoing fashion, I want to thank Perla Pasayo, and I also want to thank Terry Fott. We've been having ongoing steering meetings, and really some of the topics, we kind of came and did a debrief and said, I don't know if we've talked enough about what kind of work specifically we've been doing. So I did want to share that we're doing ongoing equity training, and we'll continue in the summer and next year. And our Board of Education has participated in that as well. Grading, looking at different equitable grading, and this also came about as a conversation with our ASB at Mountain View High and Los Altos, just really looking at how to de-stress their high school life and looking at equitable grading practices, class size reduction, adding English learner support, the board adjusting homework policy, still looking at retakes for tests and how to best let students show what they know and in a more ongoing fashion, formative, and then common assessments have been ongoing for a while. This slide, I won't read it to you. I feel by my throat, I've been doing a lot of talking tonight, but I'm so excited about career technical education. And so this will be available on the website, but we have many different pathways and we're looking at building more. So students like we heard tonight in freestyle or in other pathways can find that course that makes sense for them. And so looking at developing more health pathways, technology pathways, and then some art and public service pathways on our campuses. And then also in the last week, we had our Family Partnership Council where we brought together parent leaders from all sorts of organizations, PTSA, Foundation, DLAC, and really kicked off a discussion of the graduate profile and what a graduate of MVLA would need. And you guys are too nice. And then I have to also say that the Spartan Robotics team 971 finished second place overall as a division championship finalist, receiving the Industrial Design Award sponsored by General Motors. And looks like there's some info down there about it. But also I want to mention that Los Altos High School also fared very well in their robotics, and we had a great presentation at the PTSA. Were you going to say something, Terry? Oh, I thought you were just. I thought you were admiring the robotics there. Okay. Yes, always. And as Ava mentioned, the Dance Spectrum had their end of year presentation, and I believe it's available on video as well. So if you missed it, you can still see it. And look at that picture. That's great. And then also wanted to recognize Los Altos High School Athletic Director, Michelle Noeth. She did an entire presentation at the AD conference on what it is like to be a female athletic director. There aren't very many of them. And so thank you to her for representing our district so well. And it is the time of year where our biggest problem is we have so much to celebrate. So we're very thrilled to say Alta Vista High School had their WASC accreditation visit, and they did an amazing job. It was a great opportunity for Bill to introduce Suzanne to the team. And then also, while they didn't give us their final result, they indicated that it went very well and that they were very pleased with everything they saw. And I like this picture of Bill because it kind of shows him in action at a graduation. And then we have some construction news going on. Student services at Los Altos is coming along. Student service building is finishing the framing. The auxiliary gym is putting up walls. Basically, all three of these buildings, you're going to now see the walls. And then the Freestyle Academy, which is right out back. You're seeing also that they're putting up the canopies, they are getting the electrical, and you're starting to see the drywall go up for all of them. So it's really starting to feel like real buildings from the construction that we've had going on for so long. And then just lastly, some information about our graduations. You can see here, Adult Ed, June 2nd, Alta Vista, June 7th, Freestyle, May 26th. Los Altos will be at 6 on June 3rd. Middle College will be June 24th, and Mountain View High 6:30. And both comprehensive high schools will be returning to their football fields per tradition for the first time in years since the pandemic, fully. And our testing continues. We have seen a slight uptick, so please be careful. And but Certainly, we're monitoring that closely, and a lot of precautions have been made, and we're faring much better than other districts that we're monitoring. And then lastly, just thank you. There's so much going on, and it's such a wonderful time of year. And this is probably one of my favorite pictures. So, well, that concludes my superintendent report.
Thank you so much, Dr. Meyer. Okay, moving on to communications. At this time, district organizations such as CSEA and DTA could speak if they were so inclined. Do we have someone to speak from them? Neither of those organizations are going to speak tonight. So we'll move on to public comment on items not on the agenda. First of all, before I go through all this, is there anyone that's going to speak to non-agendized items? Hearing none, I don't need to give you the little spiel about how this works. So we'll move on. Consolidated motion. And I actually need to pull one item from the consolidated motion, and that is 15.8, because although we are going to change the meeting calendar, it's not described with the right date in the consolidated motion. So I'll pull that and we'll address that after the consolidated motion. Anyone else need to pull anything? Okay, I would entertain a motion on the rest of the consolidated motion.
Okay, I move that we approve items 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9.
Okay, second. Okay. Any other comment? Riley, what do you think? Okay, Ava? Okay. Board, all in favor? Aye. Obviously, it's a 4-0 vote, so we don't need any to take the vote for opposition. All right. So now we will talk about the one that was pulled. So if you have the expanded version of this, I'll go ahead and tell you what it will be. Since June 19th is Juneteenth, and it's a National Independence Day. It's a federal holiday now. We also celebrate that in this district, but since the 19th on a Sunday, it's celebrated on the 20th, which is the Monday, which means we inadvertently had a school board meeting called for that night. So we're not going to do that in deference to the holiday. So we would like to change it to, and we said June 17th, but that's not correct. We're going to move it to Thursday, June 23rd, and it will be at 12:30 for this PM. Okay, and there, some of the staff will be eating lunch at noon just before that meeting. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the proposed change to the meeting calendar?
I move to approve the revised change to board meeting from June 20th to June 23rd from 12:30 start to board. Something like that.
I just want to clarify, this will be a regularly scheduled board meeting, right? So we can conduct all of our normal business that we have to do at that meeting.
Yes,
'Cause we have
that's why we
second
have
meetings
to.
and things, and
yeah.
We've got stuff that has to happen on a regularly scheduled board meeting. Yeah.
Right, and that's why we have to actually even have a motion at all, because if it was just a special meeting, we could do other things, but there's certain activities you can only do at a regularly scheduled board meeting per
Second.
law. Yeah, okay. A move by Debbie and seconded by Fiona to accept the proposed change to the regularly scheduled Board of Trustees meeting calendar. Riley, what do you say?
I approve.
Abba? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's a 4-0 vote plus student members.
You won't be here for that meeting.
Yeah, you will be long flown the coop by
Down
then, eh? All right, now we are to business and action items. And the first one is our adult school program update. So our adult school team, would you like to So take it away.
Good evening, everyone, to our board and our community members. My name is Julie Bowe. I'm the Director of Adult Education for our district, and I'd like to introduce to you some members of our adult school leadership team. We have here Sarah Krajewski, our ESL coordinator, and Danielle Din, our ASE High School Diploma GED coordinator. And here's a new face, Molly Haba-Fai, our Career Technical Education coordinator. And another new member, Gina Riccitelli, our transition advisor for the adult school. And we look forward to presenting our annual board presentation. As you've noticed, we've changed the format of our presentation this year. You should have received an annual board report with a comprehensive set of data. And hopefully you've had a chance to review, and the audience at home has also had a chance to review the data. Next slide, please. Here we have an overview of what we'll be discussing tonight. And here is, again, our mission and our student learning outcomes. We thought it's important to kind of refresh everyone with these two very important items to ensure that our WAS school-wide action plan is fully aligned to our mission and vision. Next slide. For tonight's presentation, we'll focus on the three major goals of our school-wide action plan. Number one is to improve the systematic integration of instructional technology in the classroom. The second is to increase school-wide professional development opportunities. And the third is to increase academic support and tutoring opportunities for students in all of our CAPE programs. Next slide, thank you. So here you can see an image of where we are now. After 2021, we've survived and we've thrived. And a big part of this is because we've been following the guiding principles of the district of safety, connection, high quality education, communication, wellness, equity, and access. Next slide. Here we have a couple more snapshots of where we are now. So you can see that we had our very first open air career fair, thanks to Gina Riccitelli. And we are back in our clinical partnership sites in the community. We're back practicing skills in person in the lab and classroom. And due to a very well thought out multi-layered mitigation plan, we're able to have moments where we're unmasked and working with each other and connecting again. And we're very proud to report that since the beginning of the pandemic, we've had 0 cases of spread. And we've put in a number of supports for our district. We have on-site COVID testing that's free even at the adult school on those Tuesdays from 11 to 12:30, as well as extending it to the evening for our evening students, and that's on Wednesdays from 4 to 7. We've also acquired, working with community resources to obtain home antigen test kits for all of our students, which has been so important in preparing for the return after a long break. We have increased ventilation in all the classrooms. We've put an air purifier in every single classroom. Teachers are encouraged to ventilate. We've provided free surgical and N95 masks to every student and every staff member. Am I leaving anything out? And yes. So next slide. Here you have an overview of our enrollment trends. And as you can see, just like every other adult school or school in the area and across the nation, the pandemic had a major impact on our enrollments. So you can see here that CTE and ESL and ABE have had a little bit of a decrease. So in 2021, which was our full year with pandemic learning, we experienced a roughly 50% decrease in the number of enrollments. I would say that the community interest in older adults program was hit the hardest. They experienced approximately 70% decrease in enrollment.
Julie, we asked, so are you seeing a bounce back this year?
Yes, we're starting to see a bounce back. We were the first school in this school year to achieve the full in-person return. We're noticing that that there's kind of a challenge in bringing students back because we've done so well in providing them with distance learning. As you'll see as we go through the data, retention rates have increased, even slight increases in ASC and ABE. However, because we've increased access to students at home and because the situation with COVID has been in fluctuation, we're finding that it's hard to find a balance in serving those who want to stay in distance learning and those who feel safe enough to return.
I'm curious to hear what you have about the nursing program,
Oh, the
especially
nursing
because of COVID. Was that impacted?
Yes, that was majorly impacted, and our CTE coordinator will talk a little bit about the achievement rates that we achieved during that time. Are you asking about now?
Yeah, now,
So-
how was it with COVID and then what's happening today? Yeah.
So with COVID, enrollments, we experienced a slight decrease. Pass rates remained relatively high. For the MA classes, we remained at 100% pass rates compared to the national average of about 50%. CNA pass rates remained relatively high. I believe it was close to 100 for written and then about 70% for the skills portion. And that's because they had limited opportunities to perform skills. But you'll learn a little bit later about how we were able to be creative with that. And next, to talk about ESL is Sarah Krajewski.
Sandy sends her regards. She does still work with me. She was here a couple months ago with a student of the month. She's teaching citizenship even as I speak. So here I am. It's great to see you all in person, just as it has been wonderful for us to be back in person with our ESL students this year. During the 2021 school year, we learned a lot about effective teaching with technology, as well as teaching students how to learn using technology. We had fewer students enrolled as some chose to wait for in-person classes to return. They would say, I'm waiting for real school, period. However, those students who did choose online instruction attended an average of 24 hours more of instructional time per student that year than those from the previous year. So clearly our online classes were worth their time and attention. For safety reasons, we did all of our standardized testing in the parking lot last year. There's a picture. Unfortunately, this meant very little participation from night students because it's dark in the parking lot at night. But the testing did give us a welcome chance to see our students in person. We've used what we learned last year to inform our choices this year. We've purchased 3 class sets of Chromebooks and established level technology exit goals for our ESL students. Our students will need to engage with ever more tech-focused careers in educational systems post-pandemic. We've continued our professional development for staff on questioning strategies and technology integration, as well as reestablishing our staff community, which is no small thing. We've been thrilled to bring back veteran writing tutors and bring new tutors on board. So now I'd like to introduce Danielle Din, our ASE and GED coordinator.
All right. So like ESL program, the high school diploma and GED programs are so glad to be back in person. Pictured here is our evening GED class in the fall. So students are spread out, everyone is masked up. Some students even brought their own device to class. One highlight from the 2020-21 school year is that we had a comparable number of high school diploma graduates as we did in the previous year. Another highlight that we saw was enrollment increasing for all of the ASD programs. 2020-21 was the first year that we adopted Edgenuity. Adult Ed and Option B were the first programs in the district to start using this new online curriculum. We are proud to have an 87% completion rate in the online summer school. We want to acknowledge that we received a lot of feedback from families. We value all the feedback and we will use it as well as the data we got from last summer to improve summer school for this year. Some things we have been working on this year is to incorporate IXL and other softwares into our GED classes. High school diploma teachers continue to build proficiency in using Edgenuity to assess student needs. New staff members were trained on using IXL, Nucella, and different questioning strategies. And finally, with classes being back in person, our teachers and tutors have been able to expand GED math tutoring to 3 nights a week. And now Molly will talk about the CTE program.
Hello, everyone. So about the CTE program, as the other programs, we were fully back in person mode as of fall 2021. So here's a picture of our CNA instructors and students. Next slide, please. So as far as some highlights about our progress, and that was a question, some of the questions that were asked about this one. Medical assistant and insurance coding students pass rates at the NCCT, which is the National Center for Competency Testing, we continue to surpass national rates. Completion rate for CTE was up 2% despite the distance learning mode. CNA written test 95% pass rate also showed the 2% increase, although lack of in-person practice in skill impacted the skills testing results at 71%. As you can see in the pictures, we utilize other venues such as the parking lot for hands-on practice for healthcare students. Our current priorities, if I can have the next slide, thank you, are the integration of technology by way of training teachers in the systematic use of technology and all the various tools it provides in facilitating differentiated instruction. The focus is on the achievement of student learning outcomes, as always. We also offer opportunities for teachers to analyze assessment results to improve learning. We intend to build on the in-service our teachers receive to enhance the knowledge of effective teaching strategies and alignment of instruction with the CTE standards. Finally, we continue to provide one-on-one instruction with tutors for students who need the extra support to be successful. We expanded in-person and online tutoring and are currently exploring peer tutoring options, those kind of options to encourage the student collaboration. I will refer you back to Ms. Julie to go over the transition highlights.
And here you can see a picture of our new transition advisor, Gina, with the student. These are some of the transition highlights from the 2021 school year where we had to deliver all of our services remotely and online. Of note is a collaboration with our community college partners in the establishment of a dual enrollment special admit form that waives tuition for qualifying adult ed students who transition to the community college. Next slide. Here is a picture of our tutoring center. And here we have volunteer tutors who assist with supplemental writing practice for ESL students. Some of the ways that we were able to offer additional academic support during our year in distance learning mode was to add supplemental ESL conversation groups via Zoom. We also had GED online volunteers and as well as CTE embedded tutors that were online. Additionally, because classes had to be shortened because they were on Zoom and students can only take so much information within an hour or two, all of our teachers and all programs offered online office hours in order to provide additional academic support for students. And here's another way that we address the needs of students. I forgot to mention before that the students that we serve come from some of the lowest socioeconomic sectors. They are students with multiple barriers, and two of the barriers during the pandemic we found were access to technology and stable Wi-Fi, as well as technological literacy. And we've addressed those issues by setting up a technology advocate model to provide technology support for students. And currently what we're doing is we are scheduling these workshops right at the point when they've been placed into a specific ESL level to provide them with workshops on how to use the internet, get on email so that technology is integrated at all 6 levels of ESL. And this is our current situation with our financial health. As you can see, we're doing quite well. Our overall consortium dedicated funding is for the 2021 year was at $8,723,152. Our allocation out of the consortium funding is approximately 42%. We have the largest percentage at 3.6 mil there. We had COLA and a very healthy carryover of approximately $202,000. We also generate additional income through grants, roughly 250 through federal grants, as well as over 80,000 in revenue from fees every year. Silver linings and lessons learned. So though the past 18 months have posed some of the greatest challenges we have ever had to face in an adult education and as a school, we have been able to come together as a school community to find the silver linings and use the lessons learned to enrich our practice as individual practitioners and as a school. And in looking ahead, Socrates once said, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. As we look to the future, we will use the lessons we learned from this past year to rebuild and plan for the future. We need to continue to support our students with access to technology as well as with digital literacy. We need to continue to support our teachers with ongoing training and professional development, as well as encourage activities to support their mental and emotional wellness. As we rebuild, recover, and reestablish ourselves, we have learned different ways to increase capacity through distance learning and hybrid models. After facing some of the greatest challenges as a school on our evolving journey into full distance learning and back again, we are at a point where we are well poised to do a full reboot. Now is an optimal time to reestablish and redesign effective models for teaching and learning. We look forward to hearing your questions and obtaining your feedback to help us improve. And before we do that, last but not least, we would like to share with you a video that we have produced, and we have shared this with our state legislators on Ledge Week. We would love to share the success of 3 very special students from our CAPE programs. In your annual board report, there's a QR code and a YouTube link, so you can also view it, and the audience at home can view it as well. And,
started studying in August 2018. My level was beginning high. Now I am advanced class. I'm not afraid to communicate with people anymore. I can read and answer emails. I can talk to doctors, my daughter's teachers, other parents, and I can make new friends. Now I have more opportunities. I'm going to get a degree and find a job. I want to say thank you to my teachers, classmates, and school staff. Everyone is friendly and ready to help. I feel supported and I really enjoy studying here.
I was enrolled in ESL class first, and then I moved to GED class, and then I finished my GED in the early January this year. After I finished my GED, I feel better at communication skill, and I gain a lot of vocabulary in English, and also my writing skill improved a lot. This is increased my self-confidence too. I achieved my goal because one of my goals is to educating myself. For my future goals, I wish that I can continue for gaining knowledge, and I have a fulfilling for career, and then I will have a high career education.
Hi, my name is Michelle Valdez. I enrolled in the medical assistant program back in August 2021. The reason I enrolled was to start getting exposed to the healthcare setting. And my long-term goal is to become a doctor, and I thought Mountain View Los Altos Adult School had the best opportunity to become a medical assistant and start my journey there. I was in the class with Dr. Abaya, and she taught us everything from front office to back office skills that I am now applying to the externship that the school actually paired me up with. They did a great job pairing me up at this externship because it was exactly what I wanted, an OBGYN office. And then Dr. Abaya continued to do great work by teaching in class what to do in terms of vaccines and intake with vitals and patients, as well as front office appointment scheduling. And that's what I'm utilizing now and in my externship, and I hope from this externship I can get a job. I found out about the medical assistant program through a good friend of mine who only had nice things to say about it. Once I joined, I realized that she was right, and I really love that they have only the lecture portion and the externship portion. Not all the programs offer you. The externship portion really allows you to put those skills hands-on in real life settings because it's not always the same in classroom setting.
That concludes our presentation, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Comments actually more than questions. This is amazing. We've never had anything like this since I've been on the board, and it is beautiful and wonderful, and it's exactly the right length for it. You can give it to somebody and they can really understand and really take the time. I mean, it's a lovely document. So kudos to whoever put this.
So thank you so much, and it's just a great illustration of what we've been able to do as a team. I think, you know, we call ourselves the MVLA family at Adult Ed because there's a wide range of talents and we tap into all of them. And that this, we have a office assistant who assists me in putting together that annual board presentation. So it's all done in-house along with our fact sheets. The videos are produced by some members of our leadership team. It's a collaboration with the teachers, with the students, and our staff, and it's just so joyful what we're able to do for our community, and we just love presenting it. Thank you for giving us the time to present what we've done over the past year.
Did you also share this when you were doing Ledge Action Week and showing your also beautiful video, but were you giving folks hard copies of this or PDFs?
So for Ledge Week, they asked that schools produce a fact sheet that we post up on our website, but it includes much of that data. This annual report is great for the WASC visits, so they'll have all the data at their fingertips, as well as our implementations and progress towards our goals.
So I just wanted to say that not only does Adult School do a terrific job in educating students in the community and adults, but you also go way beyond that with your partnerships. And I just think that it would be nice for you publicly to, make a statement about that. I know you answered the question, but it's really extraordinary how you reach out to different organizations to try to find places to do internships for our students. And it's above and beyond. And I know that you've been doing that for years and it's growing and growing, but it's absolutely amazing to know that you can go to adult school, get a medical assistant degree or something in career technology, and then have an internship or be placed somewhere outside working. So you just go beyond. And I just think that that's truly amazing. And if I had a student who needed it, I'd recommend it to many people. Just go to Adult Ed and I think you'll be on a career path. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And we've continued to expand those partnerships. As you know, we have over 100 different partnerships in our local community. We started the new eye care technician program. We have a CTE externship liaison who's working on developing those partnerships for externships that will become potential future places of employment for our students. And we've also been able to leverage partnerships with the local nonprofit council in order to
I think you also answered a question in here about there's over 408 different courses that you offer at the adult ed. So it's if anybody has their summer school, I think those just went out. There's a lot of them in here, and the Zumba. I mean, there's just so many exciting things you can take for the community, as well as, you know, EL and the core classes that we offer. So thank you.
Thank you for mentioning that, because for a lot of adult schools, those programs have gone away. But if you've ever had the opportunity to visit the Mountain View Senior Center and the Mountain View Community Center, I've walked on to those centers, and the students literally come up and thank me for providing that opportunity, because it's so important, especially during COVID, to have opportunities for older adults to continue their lifelong learning as well.
So I'll just add to that to say thank you as well. I think, you know, the adult school is not only a jewel of our district, but a jewel of our community. You know, positively change people's lives, you know, in a very different direction than they might have gone before. So I know I don't need to say that. We see it every day at the school. So thank you very much. Wonderful presentation, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to my team.
A great report and great one. I also wanted to say we look forward to the graduation of your high school and your GEDs coming up June 2nd. So thank you all for coming. Y'all stuck with us till towards the end of the whole meeting. The business comes towards the end. So thank you so much for your report. Next, we have a report on DLAC. And that would be Perla. There she is.
I'd like to introduce our Director of Student Services and Equity, and I know you all know her, Perla Pasayo, and she will give us an update on our DLAC program, as well as some of the work that we're doing at Los Altos High School and at Mountain View, but in particular, our new program for ELs. So welcome and thank you for being here.
Hello, and it's nice to be here. It's been a while since I've been up here. I'm happy to be here for so many reasons. First of all, I can't talk about DLAB before I give a little overview about who our English learners are. So I wanted to give a slight overview. But first I want to set the stage for you. This year has been absolutely incredible in change. Not only did our LPAC testing change, they've decided that they'd like the students to have state numbers assigned to them before they take the tests. We have to wait a couple of days sometimes for those to come in. The staff changed. We lost all the support staff at both schools, or had new people in those positions, including registrars being gone. I want to say that Carmen Gomez and Linda Vitz were amazing because they took charge and they helped us greatly. Without them, I don't know what we would have done. I was new, the assistant principal was new, no registrar, no bilingual secretaries, no one to test the students when they got there. So it was huge for us. Also, we lost a really important person here that was helping with the testing at the district. So that was huge. And I don't have to say too much about how much COVID has affected everyone, except that we found that most students had difficulties in attendance. So finding the students to test them was also a bit of a challenge. I included these definitions because there are so many acronyms, and I used to remember that I carried a little cheat sheet all the time to say that's a this, that's that, okay? And it's funny because I've turned into one of those people, I say RFEPing. Did we RFEP them? Did we IFEP them? You know, and so I'd like to remind us that though they're fairly self-explanatory, we do use RFEPing and IFEPing a lot. And we'll hear that often instead of saying reclassified or English proficient. So steps towards English proficiency. So the first thing that happens when a new student comes into school is that we give an enrollment packet. Within that enrollment packet, there's always a home language survey. And if the results indicate that the home language is not English, then we know we're going to have to assess. Now, when they first are there, we want them to be in school as soon as possible. But remember how I said we're having to wait for some state members to arrive. Sometimes those take 2 to 3 days to get. But here we have our student who has to be in class. So the assessments are informal, but they are enough to place a student for that day and the following day in classes until we can formally test them and their SSID, that's what we call the state number, the SSID number comes in. So while the student, we're hoping that the student doesn't have to wait more than 2 days to place them. So it's fairly accurate, the assessments we give at that time, although when we give them the formal initial LPAC, they might change a tiny bit. So once we can test them with the initial LPAC, then that's a big decider in whether they will be found English proficient or IFEP, or they'll continue on in their EL proficiency. We can place them once their initial test is finished fairly accurately. And then if there's any adjustments to be made, they're reassessed more detail-oriented by their teachers once they're in class. We do monitor their progress on a yearly basis. Students take the summative LPAC, and right now, that's what they're doing. They're all taking those tests. We are about 90% done. They take a lot of time, and the teachers are very committed to making sure that all students are here to take these tests. If these tests are scored at a 4, or overall score of 4, then we start looking to see, do these students meet the criterion for qualification to reclassify? So reclassification is what our goal is to get them graduated out of the EL program and into the regular program so they can be advancing, but we do have to make sure that they do meet all the eligibility requirements. If they do, then we move towards reclassifying them. But once they're reclassified, it's not like we just let them go. We do monitor them for up to 4 years. And then some of the students that we get as 9th graders or the new students have been reclassified, and we finish off that time of the 4 years. Now let's talk a little bit about how many students are where. Now clearly you see that Mountain View has more students than Los Altos, and that's probably for just another month or so, because Mountain View has the levels 1 through 4, and Los Altos receives levels 3 and 4. So you can see that Spanish is the #1 language that our students speak. And the main difference maybe might be that we have at Los Altos High School, there is a larger Mandarin EL population. I really want to take a moment to discuss the newcomer enrollment. I thought it was critical to tell you that this year, like no other year, we've seen an increase in the newcomers. You can see that between June 15th and October, we received 33 new students, and most of them, 9% of them or more, were EL1. There were very few that were EL2, but most of them were new. And you can also see by this graph that in 2020, there was very few students coming into us, and then all of a sudden, we spiked greatly. This spike, I can try to answer it, but it's so complicated to tell you why. But one of the main reasons is that people became in a state of crisis, and especially Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, Nicaragua. All these areas are in crisis. And so folks were seeking asylum coming towards the United States to seek asylum. What happened was that they came and they got to the border, and of course they were detained, and they would try to return. They would try after a while, Mexico said, there are too many detainees. You keep sending them back. We can't hold on to them. We can't take care of them, especially the ones who are unaccompanied minors. There's a lot of young children here, and we just can't do this. And it became something that in January of this year, they decided that unaccompanied minors would be exempt from that process. They would come to stay, be processed so that they would find foster families or their own family somewhere or sponsors until they could get a more permanent living situation. So many unaccompanied minors came, especially in March, as they finished processing them. And so we have a lot of students who came at once, and that has some to do with it. And there are others who just have come, I don't know exactly how they've made it through, but they've made it through. But that is one of the reasons why we received so many at this time. So now let's move on to our reclassified students, our RFET. As you can see, 210 are monitored, and there is a majority at Los Altos High School, and it makes sense because we had there the levels 3 and 4, so they would be redesignated more quickly than the other levels 1 through 4. And fully exited, we do also have 986 fully exited. This year, we had a total of 27. There were 17 at Los Altos and 10 at Mountain View. The numbers change a little bit from when we do our original reclassification because special ed has a different criteria, and so sometimes they meet it at a different time. And if they meet it and are good candidates, then they advance. And so they might not be reflected when we first do our reclassification ceremony, but we do celebrate them in our own smaller celebrations at the sites. Now, long-term English language learners. So basically that is, I've been in the program for 6 years or more, and I have not met all the criteria to be reclassified. I also included the students who have IEPs because we want to make sure that in working with special ed, that these students have language acquisition goals and that their case managers are watching that they are progressing and advancing because it's close to 50% who are long-term. The at-risk of becoming long-term English learners are the students who have passed the 4-year mark and are approaching 6 years. And so anywhere from 4 to 6. This is something that I personally really didn't know we were doing as much for. And that's something that I'm really interested in looking at next year. And how are we supporting this band of students? Because it's not as familiar to me personally, but I know that it's something we definitely care about and think that we should have more focus on.
Perla, so from our feeder districts, the long-term ELs, the rate that we're getting, is that been consistent? Is that, what have you been seeing?
It is consistent, although next year and this year, I think it's more, but it's more because they haven't been able to be supported to be reclassified as well as they could have because of all the disparity in economics and just the more difficulty for them to progress in general through the pandemic. So I think as we normalize, I think things will be better, but it's a little higher than it was in the past. Okay, so I want to talk about the numbers for the estimated numbers, I should say, for the program. These are the most current numbers, and yes, Mountain View will have less students for EL, but they have made it so their staffing, they've done a way so that they don't move any teachers. They they stay with all their teachers, and yet for example, if a teacher taught ELV1, now they might go teach a Sedai course. So they're going to stay with their teachers. They've been very strategic about it. So everyone is there. And then we are naturally going to lose some FTE next year when some changes happen. Originally at Mountain View High School, when we asked all the students, you have a choice to go to Los Altos High School, your home school, or stay at Mountain View High School. We had 57 families who said, no, we are going to stay at Mountain View. We started here, we're staying here. And then we had about 30 who said, we'd like to go back to Los Altos High School area. It's closer to our home. We'd like to be there. And then since then, we've had back and forth a little bit because some of the students who said, I want to go back to Los Altos would be fine. Thing is, now they've been in Mountain View for a little longer, and they're like, I don't know if I can leave my friends, and I'm so established. I have my friend set. So there has been a little back and forth, but at this point, this is where we're at. It will be a little bit tricky to schedule because if we still have influx the way we did this year, we want to make sure we have enough buffer. Because Mountain View had to open about 4 sections to allow for the students that were new. So we want to make sure that they strategically plan and place teachers where if they needed to open another section, it would be available to them.
This chart was updated since we got our packet, right? I mean, I have a different number for Los Altos. Correct.
I just wrote down Carla's name.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, this is the most current.
Okay, thank you. Sure.
Okay, and so the current program at Mountain View High School, you'll see that it says designated and integrated. Designated basically means that these classes are solely for language acquisition. And this survey Sedai is an exception in that it's an English class, and so therefore it falls under designated because it's an English class that is supporting our language learners. Integrated just means that its subject matter is the center, and then it's supported through differentiation and scaffolding for those students. But it's about the subject matter. So world studies Sedai, it's all about world studies and not about the language, but has supports for the language. And in the 12 years that, I believe it's 12 years that Lydia's been there, she has created a program that is phenomenal as the coordinator. She has helped to create pathways that not only lead to graduation, but also students who can graduate with the A through G requirements. They created some amazing classes to prepare the students, but in a way that they understand and it's fair and equitable to them. So I was more impressed with I had no idea about the pre-biology, and I really want to explore that for Los Altos, and Wynn and I will be working together closely to help develop the program in Los Altos. But this is 12 years, and we know it's going to take a while, but we want it to be just as rich as this program is. Now, to talk a little bit about this year's program and next year's developing program, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Satterwhite. Wynn?
Hi, good evening. We are really excited to bring ELD back to Los Altos High School next school year. I think the thing that's been the most challenging for us is the numbers. As you saw, the numbers just fluctuated. And when you're looking at an initial number of 7 children coming in, and then you're thinking you could have 30 more join them, it does create a little bit of a puzzle to put together. So the things that we are trying to do is we have modeled after Mountain View High School in terms of offering ELD 1 lit and oral, ELD 2 lit and oral. And right now we're having a conversation about where we want to go with ELD 3. One of the data points that we've seen is over the years, we've had a significant number of EL 3 and 4s on our campus that have been very successful with the supports we've put into place. So students who are in survey skills. Students who are in the math classes get support classes. As Perla was mentioning, we do have it's never really reflected up here, but we do have 1s and 2s, but all of our 1s and 2s are in special ed, right? And so it's a conversation that Erica and I are having right now about which is the most prevalent need. Is it the learning needs or is it the language needs? And so that will also determine some of what we're doing there. But I think our goal is to try to get kids integrated into our school and our general college prep curriculum as quickly as we can. We are doing a couple of things that are slightly different. This year, we're going to be using our human biology, which is a co-taught class, along with our CIC classes, which are English class at the higher levels, to keep kids engaged and moving forward. We feel really fortunate that Mountain View's created a music program that we're going to borrow, and so that we're just going to bring that right on over. And as you know, with our CTE program in STEAM, we feel like there's a lot of opportunities for students that maybe don't have the language basis, but can do the hands and skills. Culinary is growing a lot, and we're hoping that we can continue that with the STEAM. The other thing that we talked a lot about was, and we learned this from Mountain View, is that when students come to our schools, oftentimes they don't have the technical skills. They don't have, like, they don't even know how to use computers. They don't know what Canvas means. They don't know any of those kinds of things. So we're creating a newcomers class where all of our 1s and 2s will be placed into a newcomers program that basically is just going to be to support them in becoming students. We have a little difficulty with teachers. Mountain View didn't want to share any with us, which we were sad, very sad. So we have some teachers at Los Altos who have stepped into the fray and are like ready to go. But after looking through what our needs are, we're going to be looking to hire some EL teachers. And luckily for us, our English department is out looking for an English teacher. So they're also helping us try to find someone who has some EL language or EL teaching behind them. So we're building a program, and as Perla said, it's going to take us some time. We are in the process of hiring a bilingual secretary. We're in the process of hiring a bilingual IA. We have a couple people who are willing to step up and be the coordinator. I'm hoping that we can still Lydia's expertise for a little while to make sure that those happen. But overall, I think it will be a huge learning curve for us. We do have the benefit of having Mountain View to help support us. But it's a little bit of a numbers game right now.
I think the next chart also is your program for.
I think I just kind of,
I
mentioned the newcomers. Yeah, I think I just kind of whirled through those. One of the things that I will say that Dean, I said is still being investigated is we inherited some students from Mountain View that have already had, we wanted to do econ and civics because we felt like those were maybe a little bit more exciting classes for students coming into the United States but they've already had them. So we're going to try US history. Personally, I think US history is the hardest to class to teach because they have no background. It's like, it's our history, and many of them don't. Well, I wouldn't care if I came here, honestly. So I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult. We have some US history teachers who are excited about doing that, but bringing on ethnic studies has stolen some of those teachers that were going to do EL for us. So that's the one that we have 0 students signed up for, but we are having that course just because I think we will have kids coming in that possibly need that. And I think that's about it. I think the rest of it we've talked a little bit about. And we'll see how it goes. Who knows? We may be coming back to you saying our initial design was a little faulty, but we think we have a space where we can incorporate students and hopefully give them the ability to move without messing up their schedules too much. So we're doubling up on classes so that hopefully if students progress during the year, they'll be able to go into the same period and not mess up the rest of their schedule to keep that continuity, which is so important for them.
One more thing I wanted to add before when we move on to the parents, the DLAC, was that, we say that I'm looking at this newcomer support class, and the reason why it's so critical is you have to understand the therapist has been saying that these are unique cases that have been more than they could ever imagine, and that they have had difficulty processing themselves. And you have to remember that most of our students came this summer from Guatemala and El Salvador, third with Mexico, and that border is way at the bottom. If I don't have enough to feed my children, but I've got to get to the border of the US, I've got to travel by foot, by bus, by whatever, with my kids through the Mexican border, which is very treacherous, and make it through Mexico, and then stay at the border to be processed. If I get processed, if my parents were detained, I got separated, then I've got to go to a foster parent maybe, and then I've got to go to school. Oh, and then there's that culture crash, shock. That's very different, that it has its own stages. So these kids have been repeatedly under traumatic stress, and that does something to the psyche that is difficult to be present in a class when people are saying, learn, learn, learn.
That's why this type of newcomer support class and therapeutic intervention is critical. Anyway, we're going to move on to some more upbeat.
Can I ask one
Yeah.
question about the newcomer support class? I mean, does that go beyond just the ELD program for newcomers that are coming in that may not be in the ELD? For Los Altos right now, it really is focused on our ELD. Just on ELD. Okay. Not saying that it can't change, but that's the focus right now.
Yeah, and it's any student who, you know, is considered a newcomer, but it's critical. As I was looking at the information of how the journey for some of these students has been, and their repeated trauma, it is.
I have one question about
Yes.
language, though. Does this mean, because you mentioned Mandarin and you mentioned Russian as well as Spanish, that other people from other languages, whose home language is French, those children can already speak English well enough to not have to be in one
Well,
of these?
it depends. For example, if you are from maybe Sweden, Italy, and you start in 4th grade with English, and then you add another language in another 2 years, you can finish up with about 5 languages in some places. So yes, it's part of the curriculum. It's a mandate to take some, unless you don't go through the normal school system. If you don't, and it's piecemealed in smaller towns, then it might not be, but typically they do add. And so you'll get some kids who will be level 2s or level 3s, and some students who come from places like Germany who almost purely speak English very well.
It's very correlated to poverty. So the students who get the education and have the resources, they will have more than one language. So there are pockets in Russia and China that have that same poverty.
But you do have a few students, not counting Spanish, Russian, and Mandarin, that you have in these classes or not, hardly any?
Well, I know that we had the children from Afghanistan, and we have a few from the Ukraine.
Okay.
So,
But they're not in our statistics from,
well, they're ELs.
right?
They're all ELs, but because 90% are Spanish speakers. It's the bigger focus, but they're, you know, they're continuing, and they get all the program benefits.
Okay.
All right, so now we're going to talk about the parents of our students and DLAC. And DLAC is really just a hub of communication and information for our parents and our schools. And the biggest thing for me is that having the parents there to give their feedback about things that we're proposing, and they give you such great ideas and things that you might not have thought about from a perspective that's different. So they really do help us in what our goal in DLAC is, and the programs and goals, and providing leadership for our parents. The DLAC members, some of the things they advise are our goals and objectives for programs and services for the English language learners, the school-wide needs assessments and district assessments, the reclassification procedures and parent notification, and also the master plan for English language learners. We are so lucky to have some very amazing parents serving on ELAC and DLAC. We have 4 at Mountain View because it's a slightly bigger program. But next year, our plan is to grow Los Altos one just as much, and we've already got parents who are eager to start a leadership program that's another like the LPO at Mountain View, and we're going to be meeting with them next week. I'm very happy to do so. And Semi Gurbiel, she is the chair from Mountain View High School. I can't thank her enough. She will volunteer her time for everything we've had. She's so eloquent, and she's just a joy to have on the team. And I just wanted to appreciate her at this moment. Also, Alma, who is the liaison at Mountain View High School, has helped that progression from parent to parent leader for these groups. The school, of course, has site representatives. You'll have 2 assistant principals, we have 2 community liaisons, and for right now, we have Lydia as the coordinator,
And that will soon roll next year also. Thank them for being part of it. And other ways parents can get involved is through parent groups like Lucha and the Latino Parent Organization, Tea Time, Cafecito, and events like Latinx Summit, aside from, of course, the ELAC and DLAC. Topics that we covered this year really are varied, but and they're mostly focused on what's critical at the time. And I will say that this year, mental health was huge with the parents, and they really were thirsty for more information on mental health theirs and their children. They were excited about the ethnic studies course. They had time to give feedback on the course. We brought it to a DLAC meeting. Attendance has been a big one because they also would like to know how to help their students get to school. And the substance abuse one, it was very important to them at the time that we had the sad situation that just passed. They want more substance abuse training, but for their students, more awareness, and they want to be able to have conversations with their students about it and want to learn how to have those conversations with their students, because it's something that you don't think you're going to have, and then these parents are just, we need tools. So definitely. Also, another opportunity for parents to give their voice and to show leadership is in our PICE, Parent Institute for Quality Education. This year it was all online, and they still managed to have a very full curriculum. They covered all these topics, and the more important work that they do is to teach about the American school system, because it is so different depending on where your students come from. In some countries, you have to pay for your pencils, your paper, everything. And so to go to school, including uniforms, and it's just part of it. And if you don't have it, you just don't go. And there's no law saying you have to go. So they really understand now the partnership we have, that it's all of us together, the teacher, the student, and the parents, that we're a team in this together, and the communication is really important. And I think they're finding their voice, and it's something new for them. They were also really interested in the tour of social media, because to them, they hear the word Snapchat, or they hear whatever it is. To them, they understand that kids are talking to each other, but when they found out what you can see, what you can get, how good and also how, not so great things can be on the social media, they were so interested. They also thought, I still want my student to be responsible, but how do I teach them to be safe with their social media? That was a big one that they had, and I'm sure they'll return for next semester when we have PICA again.
Perla, is the awareness of all the financial aid that's potentially available for them and their students, their child?
Yes,
Taught?
the information definitely is shared. I think we had this very big meeting, Mountain View had also, and brought police officers in to help, and still the information is there, but they, as parents, they still need our support to sort of be a liaison to the resources. And these are parents who might never have been involved in the schooling of their children before, and now they're here, and it's really important for them to understand everything that's going on. So they still need, though, someone to show them the way. And so a little more, like I said, we need to be more of a liaison to the resources than you might think.
Because sometimes when I hear with Avid, I hear one of the issues is that they get the support academically, but then when it comes to time to applying for colleges, their biggest issue is financial. And they're not necessarily aware of all the financial aid that's out there. I know it's not easy to find. It's incredibly complex, but somehow maybe we need to figure out how to help them navigate that part of the process, to realize that, maybe their child can afford to go to college if they can apply to get enough financial aid, grants, whatever it might be. I don't know if we have that part of the PK. I mean, that's, I'm curious, part of the PK.
PK helps with
training.
understanding higher education, but not necessarily,
Financial.
and they do explain FAFSA, but not anything, no, the scholarships and other ways that they can, not quite as in depth, no. But for that, our college and career centers have been reaching out a lot and
They
trying
have
to.
so many students though. It's the
Yeah.
problem, right? It's just
Yeah,
too many students, not enough resources.
and right now you're talking, and I'm saying that, yes, very much so. The College and Career Center right now are having conversations on how they can work together to disseminate more information as a team, instead of two separate sites, but do things on a more global level so that the district can have events with that type of information. So it is something we are looking at and trying to be innovative with. And then some of the parent recommendation of this side from this year, as I mentioned before, attendance was big. Parents really want a more personal approach. They don't want the student to feel like they're bad. They want to see if we can build a better relationship with their children. They also said that if my child has been missing school very much, and it's been a month and a half, how are they supposed to go back and transition into class if they haven't been there? The students just don't really want to go because they said, I've missed so much work. And that if there was a way to have supportive measures to bring them back and catch them up, that would be great. But that is one of the bigger difficulties, is trying to convince the students who've been gone for a while to come back, because once they're in class, they feel like they're on the hot seat and they can't catch up, and they're next to their classmates who know much more about the subject matter. And so that has hurt some of their self-esteem. So again, we're looking at different ways to try and bridge that, to have something maybe after school, some kind of recovery going on. Both schools are talking about some credit recovery after school to help, not necessarily recover, but gain some of the information they missed and accelerate them. Also the ethnic studies course, they just want to continue with the conversation, and should anything change, they'd like to know about it because they were so excited about having it. They think the multiple perspectives about anything ethnic studies, multiple perspective of history is really important. It helps with critical thinking, and also it celebrates the diversity of folks that we have. We spoke about the mental health, and we're trying to bring maybe some workshops in to discuss parental stress, because they're under great stress trying to provide for their families and making sure their students succeed. And also to recognize any kinds of warning signs in their students when they see them stressed out or not sleeping or something, so they can not only support them, but know where to take them for help and how to better avail themselves of the resources that we have. And last year, of course, LPO letter came to the board with 16 different items, and our Terry Fott has made sure that we are on it, and we're trying to fulfill all the requests and suggestions they put forth. She's done a magnificent job, and she's presented to them, and I know that they know that we're doing our best, but we still have some work to do, and we are working hard. And as far as goals for DLAC/ELD, we want to develop the program at Los Altos High School, and as it's being developed, get feedback from parents to make sure that they have a voice in Los Altos High School new program. Hopefully next year we can go back to CABE, which is a very good association that helps build leadership in parents and helps them gain a voice to support their students in the English acquisition program. PK will continue online. According to PK, they have better results online, so they didn't want to go all the way, so they're calling it hybrid this year. So it'll be online, except for the very last day, which will be the celebration and the graduation. They want that to be live so people can receive their certificates of graduation. Then also we want to review the reclassification process. Want to look at how compliant we are on the exact criteria, because there are sections that say, well, especially the one is that if you don't get a C in the English class, it doesn't qualify you. Now, if a student has met every other one and we're just sounds like they could do it, the teacher can provide us a recommendation and they can fill it out. We want to make sure that we are reclassifying students that are truly ready, because sometimes we see a little dip and we don't want to see the dip. We want them to maintain and keep acquiring language. So just to review the process and make sure both schools are doing it the same. And the structure of reclassification monitoring, want to make sure we align both schools. Since Los Altos High School is developing their program, want to make sure that both schools are aligned on when they are monitoring. Usually we monitor once a quarter based on grades, and we check in with them if they're not doing as well. But I want to make sure that that looks the same when we have the new program. The new needs assessment survey, it's been 3 years since we've done a needs assessment survey that's more, it's more about the experience of the English learner at school and the parent and how they perceive their help that they're getting. And it's been about 3 years since we put that one out, and changes have happened. So we want to create a new one with the ELAC meeting representatives so that we can move forward with that. And lastly, of course, we want to increase the parent participation in ELAC. And these numbers are, there are goals, but of course we want more than this. We want as many as we can get. PK also, we want as many as we can get. The hybrid, I think this next year will be more folks being able to come, because we have assured that everyone's got devices, everyone has Wi-Fi. We've done our best to make sure that everyone knows about PK, but now that Los Altos is going to have a new leadership parent committee, they also want to make sure that as many parents as possible go to PK, because they found it very, very valuable. And with that, I just want to make sure everyone knows how thankful we are for everything that you have helped us with your support, with your trust and your faith in that we are doing the best job that we can, and just all your support across time.
I have one question that kind of goes along with what Sanjay asked about the financial part of some education in the PK. Do we include any understanding of the civic or governance way things work in the United States?
They have in the past. This last year, they did not. They did more social media and a few other things. The year before that, they touched upon it. If that's something that we can totally suggest, to them to do that.
Well, it seems that if people understood, parents understood how to interact with us, the board, plus how to interact with other governmental agencies and the way they're managed or governed, that would be helpful for them too, as another resource.
Well, they are.
It's not just the school system; they have to get along.
Sure, of course. And when they were teaching about the American school system, they did have some information on that, but they're always willing to add, because they're always revamping their curriculum.
That was one thought I had when you brought up the finance part.
I think it's a great idea. All right, well, thank you
for a wonderful presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, Phil, at what time did you join us? I don't know when you joined us. You're mute.
I think it was around, let's see, around 8:15. Julie was just finishing up the adult school presentation.
Okay. Just wondered. Welcome belatedly.
Thank you.
All right, moving on after those wonderful presentations to review of calendar events. So one calendar event that's coming up is the graduations, and they are on June 3rd. So I definitely want to ask you all which graduation you might want to be attending.
I'm open. My only restriction is for next year, so. Mountain View, so I'm open. I can do Los Altos this year. Probably prefer Mountain View this year.
I would take Mountain View, so that seems good to send you to Los Altos this year, and then you're.
Okay, Fiona's going to have
Guaranteed to be
Mountain
back.
View and Sanjay's going to do Los Altos. Phil, are you going to be going to any of the graduations?
I'm
In
not
person?
sure now.
Okay, so Debbie and I'll split up the other two, which do you want? Okay, so Fiona, I'll join you here at Mountain View.
Alrighty.
Okay, and oh, fun. So that will be who is going from the board. And so Phil, you can go to either one if you want. And then how many people are going to go to the the Alta Vista? I'm going.
Also, but we have what time is our board meeting? Don't we have a more board meeting that night on June 2nd?
We do, but we had,
Alta Vista is, adult ed is June 2nd.
yeah.
Right, I had
And then
board
Alta
meeting
Vista is
moved
June
again.
7th.
No, we're still having June 2nd, but maybe we need to review as a calendar item the actual times, and I don't know if I have it in my head.
That we decided that we were gonna go, if possible, go to adult ed graduation at 6, no closed session for the board, and then
Okay.
come right to the board meeting after.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. So,
Yes.
so you're asking if we could split up to Alta Vista and adult ed then?
No, because they're different days.
nights.
I'm just curious how many people were gonna go ahead and come to Alta Vista.
What day is Alta Vista? What day
It's
is
June 7th,
June
at 4:30.
Wait,
I'll be
No.
out of town. I'll be out of town.
No.
Okay.
I thought Alta,
You're right.
4:30, okay, I'm sorry. I
Oh.
do have all this written down at home, I apologize.
Okay,
because
so-
Nellie, you put it in your weekly, but
How about just email or text or whatever, which ones you're going to, just so Nellie knows.
I think the main ones are the two comprehensives. They're the same.
So we
time.
already know.
The others, you can.
Yeah,
hopefully
I'm
go
going to both of the others.
Right.
I'm gonna
Me
do
too.
both, for sure. Yeah.
We try to go to all.
Okay. All right, so as many of us as
I better not
possible
miss
will
them.
be at both
Yeah.
the other guys' graduations. So anybody else want to mention calendar events? I think we mentioned before, we have several different award things coming up, but we mentioned them in the past. No? Okay. Dr. Meyer, do we have some communications and correspondence?
We do. The Santa Clara County Office of Ed sent us 2 certificates. One is for our multilingual seal of biliteracy, and the other is for having distinct English language pathways. So it's appropriate. We just received it, and it coincided with our presentation. And then let's see, who is this? Assembly Member Alex Lee sent us a certificate of recognition for having the resolution to support bilingualism and English learners. So we received those as far as communication.
Great. Legislative update? We have one.
Yes, and it's short and sweet. There's some great bills, yes, coming. And the first, just briefly, Senate Bill 1229 from Mike McGuire in North Coast. This bill, if passed, will add 10,000 mental health professionals to support schools and youth throughout the state. So this is something that they're talking about right now and recognizing in the conversation that we've had tonight, the need, and hopefully putting some of that budgetary surplus that we're seeing in the state to good use. The second is Assembly Bill 2794, Gibson out of Carson. And this is to provide this is kind of the other side of the same complex issue, crisis intervention and de-escalation training for all staff. And I see Nina nodding her head, certainly for special education staff, but all staff really. And I think it's just a commentary on how much our students need. And then Assembly Bill 2774 from Aquila Weber out of San Diego. And this is to provide additional resources and direct services to close the achievement gap for Black students. And there was a task force that many people across the state sat on. And this is one of the first actions that we're seeing from this task force to put some funds for direct service to close the achievement gap, particularly for African-American students. And you can kind of see the others. I won't go into all of them, but this is legislation season, and we're kind of squabbling over a lot of things. So I did pull those three because I think they really do impact our district.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And may I have any board suggestions for future reports or meetings? Is there any at this time? No? Okay, date and time of the next meeting. We will have a special closed session next Monday, the 16th. In the boardroom from 3:30 to 6:30. And then the next regular meeting will be the 23rd. We just made that change this evening. So we don't need to resume closed session. Thus, we don't need to reconvene from closed session. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
MJ moves. And Fiona seconds. Motion to adjourn. Riley?
I agree.
Ava? Board, all in favor say aye. Aye. And that's a 5-0 vote because Phil is now here. Okay, thank you for joining us, Phil.